Yo, it's ORRION online. That's Orion online. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Today's date is October 30th, 2020, and we are here for another round of Homeboy Talk. And I want to introduce my boy here.
Yo, what's going on, everyone? My name is Deon Donovan, comic creator at Title Page Comics. Welcome to another new exciting episode of Homeboy Talk. Let's get at it. We still have movie theaters still barely functioning. They're open. We still have amusement parks still open. Some of them. Disney World, a couple other parks, Busch Gardens, still opening, still functioning, trying to get some business. We still have bowling alleys open to the public, and that's an interior building where people are inside and doing activities and et cetera, et cetera. We still have places like Dave & Buster's still open. People using arcade machines. People are eating. The 6 feet social distancing, those rules and guidelines being enforced on a day-by-day, case-by-case judgment. Depends on whoever's working there. With all that being said, should the anime and comic convention scene open up for 2021? With all that's happened and with all these other businesses still open, what do you think, man?
All politics aside, honestly, whether you're in the red team or the blue team, at the end of the day, we're all Americans, okay? And the fact of the matter is that this pandemic has basically red flagged every occasion that we want to be a part of, whereas now it's scary to even take risks. The fact of the matter is I was just, after I came and recorded this podcast, I was watching news reports that spikes are on the rise. People are being hospitalized just like it happened in March. You know, hospital beds are being filled up. PPE is actually running out again, where masks and gloves are limited to the first responders, you know. This should always be a reminder that we cannot take things for granted and stuff, you know, because the fact of the matter is because of this pandemic, we're not able to enjoy the finer things in life, you know, the things that we go out for enjoyment, the feel of escapism, you know. Now, because of what's going on with the year 2020, coronavirus is on the rise. Conventions are in the chopping block of should it be open or should we just keep on rescheduling and pay attention to the news and make sure that, you know, this is safe to do. You know, could we honestly run a convention enforcing 6 feet social distancing? Could we enforce it where people have to wear a mask? Granted, it's a convention. People are going to wear a mask, you know, whether if it's going to be their favorite character or not, you know, but people are going to dress like their favorite character. But can you really justify ruining a photo with a mask on? Not like a Power Ranger helmet or face mask or something like that. I'm talking about being like Elsa from Frozen, but you got a face mask on, you know. Can you really justify that? Would that look great at a photo shoot? You know, I understand, you know, Instagram is on a thing and stuff like that, but what does it look like that you're at a con, ooh, Elsa, and someone pulls up their smartphone and takes a picture and your mask is on? So are you recognizable at that standpoint, you know? Should conventions reopen? Personally, you know, whatever your politics is and your beliefs are and stuff like that, and, you know, what's your take on what coronavirus is to you, whether if it's fake or if it's something serious, stuff like that. But to me, this is serious. Coronavirus is serious, you know? It's taking lives and it's on the rise, you know, and if we don't have this under control, it's going to take 2021, you know, because we're looking at right now, we're at 220,000 deaths as a recording of October 30th. You know, months later, we could be at 250, but we're looking at 2021 at almost at 400,000 deaths, you know, because of the coronavirus. It has hit hard, and we have yet to fast track any vaccine, and vaccines should not be rushed. You know, so if you were to rush vaccines, you're still going to have people that are going to be apprehensive of wanting to take it, you know. But the fact of the matter is, there's not a vaccine at sight, and there isn't any strong way to actually cure the virus and stuff like that. But then even though if you got the vaccine, we already have the struggle of people going to conventions and practicing simple hygiene. Like people coming in with strong body odors. So if you have the virus and your body odor is strong and it goes into our nostrils, congratulations, you got coronavirus. The fact of the matter is, we have people that has no home etiquettes, so they're burping and farting in the conventions. They already let the smells off, and then like I said, you got people who say got political statements who don't believe in face masks, or they will pull a Karen and says I can't breathe in one of these things. But yet you'll throw on a Naruto mask and run like Naruto all day. But when it comes to a face mask, it's a problem. So, I mean, should conventions reopen? I hate to say it, but no, they should not reopen. I understand it ruins the city because conventions benefit. The city benefits from conventions because it brings tourism into that city. We here in the Hampton Roads, we have Virginia Beach and we got Hampton that hosts conventions throughout the year. And whenever a convention does well, it sells hotels and it boosts its restaurant sales. And the fact of the matter is that when you take away a convention, that city does not eat. We don't have workers to come in. We don't have hotels booked or filled. It's already taken an impact, because we all know like the domino effect that when a convention does well, hotels does well, restaurants do well, that city does good because that goes to the taxes to the city. So without a convention, it impacts all tourism for anything, It impacts all travel. Yes, as a cosplayer, you save money, but as for the convention coordinators, it's a hit in the pocket, because I don't even know if some of these convention coordinators are able to get their deposit back of renting out the whole entire convention center. I don't know the ins and outs of convention coordination, but the fact of the matter is I feel like there should be some sort of insurance policy set where if in an event of a world pandemic and stuff like that, you're entitled to a refund of your deposit or so and so, where it doesn't hurt your pockets that much. However, it's possibly could impact future conventions, because we don't know what their budget's going to look like if they're not able to get if they're not able to profit from this year's conventions because of cancellations and stuff, However, they can go ahead and reinvest it for 2021, but right now 2021 is a vague thing. So I honestly don't. My conclusion to this statement is I don't think conventions should reopen until the vaccine is discovered and people are willing to take it, and we can start becoming trusting of other people to take precautions of hygiene and taking it seriously. I'm talking your basic hygiene of washing your ass, brushing your teeth, doing your maintenance, taking care of yourself, and be respectful of others, because these are people who are sharing beds with each other. We're talking about crowded rooms. These rooms are not like a normal room. We're not looking like 4 to a room. We're not looking at 2 to a room. We're looking at 8, 16, 10 to a room, sharing the whole entire room. And hygiene and take good care of yourself and staying hydrated and make sure you don't get sick. Because one thing we do get as convention goers is after a con, we get sick because we're exposed to so many people out there and we get sick. So that's the reason why taking care of yourself is important. Eating healthy, eating as much as you can of vitamin C, your vitamin D, all your vitamins and stuff like that. Make sure that your body's in tip-top shape. You're not always eating junk food. Being health cautious is important, because when you're sick, you are running the risk of getting other people sick, and it's going to continue the spread of this virus we'll never ever recover from if people don't take certain precautions. But I got to ask you, man, should conventions reopen?
I'm going to say that with everything going on and the fact, like you said, how unhygienic these convention goers are, I mean, you go in the game room, it's like, whew. I mean, you can smell the game room from a couple hallways away. And then you go to the dance, the raves, and that itself, you need to wear a gas mask to get in that shit sometimes. So, knowing con goers, knowing the culture, knowing the nature of how they act, and have they cleaned up their act, some of these guys, since the pandemic started, I doubt it. I could totally see a couple of these guys not even showering, bathing, brushing their teeth, just quarantine grimy 5 days straight, playing video games and not cleaning themselves. I'm going to say no. And the reason why is because, for the most part, it's not even worth it. It's not. If the movie theater industry is an indicator, then you need to take heed to that warning. Because if you have no one comfortable enough to go and you open up, okay, sure, there are 6-7 people in the room now. And or it used to be 12,000 people that go to this convention. Now it's 500, 200. Is it even worth it to open up? How much money are you pulling in for the city and for the convention and for the guests if no one's even shown up to begin with? So, and then you also run the risk. What if someone is sick? What if someone tests positive that weekend? Now you got to shut down. Now everyone needs to test. How much of it is in your control? Because we've seen states go to phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, go back to phase 1, phase 2. You have no control over when your month is up. Here comes MagFest. Oh, guess what? We're going back to phase 1. Now, what the fuck? I bought my ticket. I got my... It's so much out of your control. The best thing you can honestly do is just to wait. And I get it. Some of these guests, some of these, attendees, there's financial responsibilities and they need these conventions to open up so they can get some income coming in. But you're going to have to adapt. You're going to have to find different ways, whether you guys get a shipping method of shipping your comics or your pictures to your favorite guests and they sign them and ship them back to you, or private FaceTimes. I've seen private Zoom meetings and trying to hold virtual conventions online, and it's not the same, but it's something. It's something to work with, and it's just, to me, it's just not worth it. It's not worth opening up if you're gonna have low attendance, if you're not gonna make any real revenue for the convention, for the city, and for your attendees and for the guests. It's not worth it, and especially knowing the history and the past behaviors of these congoers who are sleeping 9-10 to a room, who are not bathing, who are not showering, who are not brushing their teeth and washing their ass. I don't think this pandemic changes that. I think it is what it is, and they're going to still continue to do that. I mean, no teenager should be told, hey, you need to take a shower. Hey, you need to brush your teeth. You smell. And so that's kind of like, that's an individual thing. No matter how much time you preach and tell someone to wash their ass, it's ultimately up to the person to wash their ass. So I'm going to say a resounding no, man. And with 2021 and basically a gray area, we don't know what's to come. We don't know if the vaccine's coming. We could be looking till 2022, 2023 till we get back to a convention scene. So with that, what are some of the changes that are in store for the cosplayers out there? What do you think they have to adjust to now during this pandemic, and how they can enjoy their hobbies, or how those who are in business of being a cosplayer, how do they adjust to everything that's going on right now?
It's a scary field because we already know that some attendees have no home training. So when it comes to practicing social distancing, even if things were to be normal, and if I had to predict, let's say 2022 was going to be a sense of normalcy, or even if we have to wait till 2023 to reach a sense of normalcy, for things to get back to how things were before 2020, But as a cosplayer, coming from a cosplayer standpoint stuff, I understand that if you have a banging cosplay that has mass appeal, people can't control themselves. They need to be up close in person, you know. I understand that we already have issues with attendees and cosplayers when it comes to personal bubbles. You know, we've already have roping issues as a thing. We already have, you know, uninvited touching going on, such as grabbing by the shoulders or putting your hand on somebody's head and stuff like that, or hip grabbing and stuff like that, just not respecting any personal space. Now, if you're a big in cosplayer, for example, like, you know, what's a popular cosplay out there that people would jump into? Maybe like a giant actual looking Pikachu from Nintendo, how they actually make that Pikachu. Seeing that at the convention and stuff like that, that's going to make kids run up and want to hug you. You know, you could be a giant looking, legit looking Lucario and stuff like that, and you'll have kids and adults want to come up to hug you. You know, when it comes to taking a picture with someone and stuff like that, there is really no social distancing set, because these are unfamiliar people that's going to put their shoulder around you, or they're going to be, oh, come get a photo and stuff like that. You know, it's a family portrait. You don't know if that family has tested positive, you know, or tested negative or anything else. So now there's no social distancing. But then you're going to have people that's going to argue. But if you're in a full-on cosplay, for example, a Power Ranger or a Ninja Turtle and stuff like that, you know, you're already covered up from head to toe. You should be fine. It's not always the case. It's really not always the case, because we still have air holes in these things. So we still breathe in, you know. We don't have a cloth or a medical mask underneath, or we don't have like a medical grade mask underneath these things, because that just doubles the suffocation for us cosplayers, you know. But yeah, man, like, I feel like the discipline of a cosplayer has now changed, because now it feels like now we have to grant permission for things to happen now. You just can't grow up and just put your hands on anybody right now, you know. Especially if we were to go back to normalcy like that. Like I said, we're depending on people and their word and their bond of taking the vaccine and taking health precautions and making sure they're not sick. Because it feels like coronavirus is going to be around even when vaccine has been discovered, you know. And with that being said, as a disciplined cosplayer and stuff like that, it's almost like if you're full on head to toe, you're probably gonna definitely need a handler to actually help you and say, listen, you can get a photo, but understand he does not want to be touched, or she does not want to be touched. You know, you can stand within a fair amount of distance from them to get a photo, but do not touch, do not do none of that. Let alone, don't ever actually pretend like you're going to kiss somebody, because you know that's still that unknown person is breathing on you, you know. So if I had, like, you know, I never thought that I have to enter a world like this, but now it's got to the point where now I have to be respectful with other cosplayers, just as I hope to be respected in return, you know, where, hey, can we get a photo? What am I allowed to do? You know, when I take a photo with a girl who's half naked, stuff like that, it says, hey, may I have permission to put my hand, you know, or place my hand on your hip or on your shoulder and stuff like that, you know, just out of precaution and out of respect. I'm not trying to do anything, you know. Very rarely I even do that. I pulled it, you know, Keanu Reeves, you know, and just have a floated kind of like the hover technique, you know. Or if I do a hover technique, I don't make it look like that I'm doing the hovering technique over a hip. I just put my thumb up or throw a peace sign up. But I've become respectful to even other cosplayers who are half naked, or even other guys who are in cosplay. I also do a distance type technique, because I want the same respect in return. My experience, the recent experience that I had, well, not recent, but experience that I had was when I went to BlurredCon and I did cosplay as a Ninja Turtle. There was really no social distancing practices. Then again, we didn't have the coronavirus at that time, but the respect that I got as a Ninja Turtle was not there, because I had this one guy, he was dressed up as Master Roshi. He was acting like, oh, I'm a fellow turtle too, because he got the turtle shell and the staff and the bow. So he's like, you know, and I was cosplaying as Raphael, you know, and me being a character, I acted just like Raphael. I was not in the mood for anything, you know. I was reluctant to participate in his his goofiness, you know. So he was talking about like, hey, I want you to look like, you know, you're fighting me, you know, pull out your size and make it look like you're fighting me. And I wasn't having it, you know, because I'm being in character, and at the same time, I guess there's a little secret I will share with you. Depending on what type of head that I have on me is the character I will play, because that's the mood that I'm in. So if I'm Raphael, better believe I'm not just acting. I am not in that mood, you know. When I'm Michelangelo, I am in a playful mood. I'm willing to play along and do all this stuff with it. But as Michelangelo, as Raphael, don't mess with me, you know. Yeah. So that's the reason why, like, fun fact, you know, when I was booked for a Washington gig, you know, I had a buddy of ours named Sean. I said, "You're Michelangelo. I don't care. You know, I don't want to be Michelangelo, you know." And so why are you making me Michelangelo? Because I don't feel like being in the spirit of being happy-go-lucky right now, you know. Give me Raphael where I don't have to do anything, you know. So that's what I did, was I was Raphael. But this person, Master Roshi, he straight up, I had no invitation at all. This is the reason why I wish I had a handler. Had his hand on my shoulders and was shaking me. He says, "Come pose with me, come have fun with me," and stuff like that. After that, I straight up knocked his hands off my shoulders and I walked off, because I wasn't playing that. You know, I wasn't gonna get out of character and take off my head and say, "Get the fuck off me," you know, or anything else. But there's people like that, you know. They have no home training. They have no respect. There's other people that's respectful. Hey, can I get a photo with you and stuff like that? You know, is it okay if I put my hand on your shoulder and stuff like that? Great. I'll give you the nod. But if you just do it out of spite with no respect to me as a person, and that's because I am not an action figure, you know. That's my biggest pet peeve. I hate being treated like an action figure in a cosplay. Do not pose me. Do not move me. Do not do anything and stuff like that. Say, "Hey man, throw peace." I have 3 fingers. What piece do you want me to throw? You know. So I just hate being treated like an action figure, and that's a fast track to annoy me. And I don't have to respect you as an individual if you treat me like that, you know. But other than that, man, you're a cosplayer yourself, man. What do you think that what do you think I think a rule should be set in place? And what discipline do you think that needs to be put out there for other cosplayers to approach you? And what do you think that cosplayers should actually entail when it comes to having some sort of personal space involved?
Well, I think they definitely, like you said, need to ask for permission. Hey, how close can I get to you? Where can I, touch you on the shoulder, waist? Can I pose with you? You need to basically ask complete permission from the cosplayer who you want to take a picture of or who you want to hang out with, and to get their permission to do what you want with them. I don't think it's possible with 6 feet social distancing. It's just, you're gonna have that urge to get close, because otherwise, why are you taking the picture? You want to kind of live like you are with that character, and for you not to be in the picture, you just take the picture of the character. It's not enough. For most people, it's not enough. And especially if that person is wearing a mask, it kind of defeats the whole illusion of the cosplay itself. So I think asking for permission, and honestly, that's respecting boundaries and knowing personal bubbles of people, especially nowadays. I think, honestly, the opposite might happen when things go back to normal. I think there'll be more of a need for touch. I think people will be more angsty for it. They might be they might be respectful about it, but I think they're really going to want to hug that Pikachu or get close, because we're all so distant right now. We're also antisocial, and we're social creatures. We want to be next to each other, especially at a convention. You go to a convention escape and to feel good. And what other better way to feel good than to interact with your favorite cosplayers or favorite characters that you love and know? And that sense of feeling is going to be gone when you're at these conventions now. From what I've seen, from whatever conventions that are open, it looks pretty barren. The level of cosplay there is not very high. It's very casual. And that enjoyment of being at a convention is not there because of just what's happening right now. It doesn't allow you to have that feel good feeling. It doesn't allow you to have that same enjoyment as you did before, and you're kind of almost just you're almost like you're wishing, you're hoping, like, I hope I go and this is going to be as fun as before. I hope that this is going to be even close to half as close to my normal feeling of being a con, because I've been stuffed inside the house. I've been doing my same routine for this whole year, and I want to experience something that's fun. And I don't think that convention is the current way to do that, for sure. In terms of permission and social distancing for the future of these cosplayers, that's all it's going to turn to. And for those who want that convention, for those who have those high-class, those quality cosplays that you want to showcase, you're going to have to do private shoots. You're going to have to go to locations, whether it be in the city, whether it be in a garden, whether it be in a studio. You're going to have to communicate with photographers and communicate handlers and say, hey, I want to do a photo shoot at Fountain at the Gaylord, and the Gaylord's open, and I have their permission, and you're going to have to grab that photographer. Okay, are you COVID free? Okay, are you bear bug free? Okay, cool. And then we'll go to the location, do our photos, and then we're out. And that's all you can really do if you have those cosplays that you can't wait to showcase to people. And you're going to have to wait. You do your private shoots and then wait it out for the convention scene to come back, because it's not going to be the same going to convention wearing a mask and the oohs and ahs. That you're not going to get any oohs. You're not going to get any attention at the convention. So just do your private shoot, get those nice camera shots, do some videos, hook up with other cosplayers if you want to do some videos and things like that. And do it privately and do it safely. And that's the best you can accomplish if you're a cosplayer who wants to showcase off something new that they have.
Shoot, to piggyback off of what you just said, man, it's I gotta ask, man, like, does it, with this going on, does the bother of wanting to cosplay the most iconic cosplay out there, like, because the fact of the matter is, we know there's going to be people that's not going to respect the personal bubble and stuff like that, you know. But even if you have that high attention cosplay and stuff like that, you know, what are the movie hits that's out now and stuff like that, you know? What if somebody would have did the movie version of, what a popular belief, the movie version of Mulan, you know? What if somebody else did the movie version of Black Widow and the characters that's in there and stuff like that? What if they were to do any of that, you know? Hell, what if somebody went above and beyond and did the whole trinity of all Spider-Mans? You got the Andrew Garfield, the Tobey Maguire, and the Tom Holland Spider-Man, and they did their own Spider-Verse team up and stuff, you know. But is it even worth bringing a spectacle out to a convention and risking having that many people crowding up on you to get a photo? Is it even risky? Why does it even bother to even want to cosplay? Would you rather just get a badge and just enjoy the con for what it is and save your cosplay for private shoots like you mentioned? Or do you really want to get that self-gratification of going out there with all your hard work and hard-earned money, rather if you commissioned it yourself or you worked on it, you know? Like, do you feel like is it even worth it? Even after the pandemic was supposedly over and a vaccine was discovered, is it even worth it?
Like you said, not yet, not now, not until things would get back to normal. Like you said, if you have something grand and something that's appealing to a lot of people, they're gonna crowd around you, and you're gonna get them at risk. That social distancing is gonna be gone. It's gonna be broken, and so that gratification is not really going to be had, because it's not like before. You can't have 10, 15 people crowd you for pictures and then stand in a pose for 20, 30 minutes and have people come up to you and pose with you for pictures for 30 minutes plus. Those days are done for a while. Until things get back to normal, those things, that's a false dream. That's a pipe dream right there. So even if you're going to a convention, you're just best to just wear your normal clothes, wear your mask, and just try to go to the dealer's room and, you know, and try to enjoy whatever's there. But the dealers, everything's online right now. Amazon Prime, you can get everything you practically want online. There's no need for a dealer's room. You know, Artist Alley, these artists are still online. They still have a way to get art done and mail it to you, or you go drive and pick it up. So it's just access to knowing who these people are. I'm sorry, your favorite guest didn't make it this year. They're going to have to either come back, or they have a way for you to get shit signed and mailed back to you if you mail it to them. So there's really no reason to go to a convention right now. It's not mandatory, it's not it's not viable. It's not viable, and there's no real reason to go to a con right now, especially with the way things work, and the fun that you'll have is not worth it unless you're just going specifically, hey, I need to get these shit signed and I'm out. Like I drop off at the table, the guest stays 6 feet away, then when I go 6 feet away, the guest comes to the table, signs my shit, and then they go 6 feet away, then I go grab my shit and I'm out. Like, other than that, that's your only reason why to go. You go to restaurants and shit, they're going to be crowded. You can have, we can only allow 3 people in here at one time. Like elevator rides, I need to go to my room up. There's 4 or 5 people in there. Well, I got to wait for the next one. It just goes down the line. A convention is meant to get a lot of people together in a confined space. An amusement park, you're outside. It's better outside. They say you're safer to be outside. Movie theaters, no one's going to movie theaters. There's 6 people tops inside, one theater at a time. Everyone's spread out. You can feel relatively safe because there's hardly anyone in there. Convention, I'm imagining the convention's going to be a little bit more packed than a movie theater. I don't know how the bowling alleys are so packed, but they are, at least the one by my place. The parking lot is full like every weekend, so I don't know how they're doing it. People are willing to risk going bowling and being with amounts of people, but I mean, that's just maybe one case scenario. That's not the ultimate rule for everything. So there is really no reason why to go to the convention, and there is no real gratification of going. Premiere your suits, do a video, make some shorts, do some private shoots, and that's really it. And in terms of like continuing on this talk about conventions and the pandemic, the precautions for like a con, it's the same as everyone else, going with the CDC guidelines. Wear your mask, use hand sanitizer, bathe, and things like that. But I mean, in all means, is it really going to prevent something from happening if we're all inside and there's no accountability? If no one's there to check you. I mean, sometimes I still go to the bathroom and still I don't see people washing their hands. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then you touch a controller, you touch a doorknob, you're like, achoo. You sneeze on your hand, and then, there's no hand sanitizer. You rub it on your pants, and then they grab a camera or they grab something, and then that person grabs another camera. Can you take the picture for me? And then, it just goes from there. So you're opening a big-ass can of worms by even opening up Pandora's box, and you don't know what's going to come out of it. And even if it doesn't hurt you, was it worth opening up Pandora's box if you didn't gain anything? So that's all I got on that, man.
I mean, yeah, going off of precautions. Like the next talking point I wanted to go off with you is what can conventions do to take precautions? To help with the least spread of the coronavirus. In fact, I'll give you my insight of what convention's going to do. It's going to cost money. Definitely going to cost money. And even that, you're going to have to slowly ease up to the normalcy and stuff like that. But the typical stuff, like, I don't even know if these controllers, I've seen in the gamer room, are sanitized constantly. I don't know if they were used with sanitizer wipes, stuff like that. You're actually... When you borrow a controller, personally, I don't borrow people's controllers. I bring my own. I've always been that person. I would bring my own. But seeing other people borrowing other people's controllers, things are being touched over there. Dealer's room stuff, things are always being touched at all times. When you're seeing arcade cabinets after you got next, that person might have not washed his hands, or her hands and stuff like that, and The fact of the matter is you're going to have lines and lines and lines that's trying to get into a hall, to a hall, you know, and get into a conference room to see their favorite guest speak, or to see a topic of, you know, or whatever activity that's going on at the event. I feel like conventions need to have sanitary stations at every spot they can, you know. They need to have little rules and posters to inform people of the new rules and regulations. Respect personal space, you know. Have six, like when it comes to waiting in line. When it comes to waiting in line for a guest, or for an activity that is getting ready to partake, you know, it's going to be hard to enforce social distancing and stuff like that, because now your staff is going to do double duty than before. Never mind checking the badge and everything else. Now you got to, like, your staff is going to be 10 times stressful, where now you're just probably going to have to pay them instead of volunteering, because now we're looking at making sure that all rules are followed through. Nobody's personal bubble is being disrespected, and nobody's getting groped or anything else. And social distancing is put in place, you know, when it comes to, you know, group shoots. Like, how do you even do a group shoot when everybody's so close to each other? You know, how do you even, like, right? How do you wait in line for the panel you want to go to? You know, how do you do certain things? Then when you go into the dealer's room, it's shoulder to shoulder traffic over there, you know. So how do you even do that? Like, how do you manage to control social distancing? You know, even if you were to reopen and things are back to normal, you still have to enforce it. You just can't just drop it of like, all right, conventions are normal, everything's normal, we're going to go back to where it is, without taking these certain precautions. Because now you just up the cost as a convention coordinator, you know, where you have to have sanitary stations, stuff like that, you know. You're going to want to have water refills to people, make sure there's always people You're probably going to even need you're going to probably need the medical team, you know, ambulance at the convention at all times, you know. I don't see why is that not even a thing, you know. Like, always having a medical team, always having a authority team out there at all times. First responders.
Even if it's volunteer.
Yeah, like, it should always be a thing. Having first responders there at all times, medical team, authorities, stuff like that. It should always be there, just in case of situations like going on right now, you know. The fact of the matter is my biggest complaint is there's not enough precautions taking place at these conventions and stuff, you know, because of the groping going on, and because of the minor activities that's going on, and because of the overusage of alcohol, and people are quickly shot to the hospital, you know, because of minor alcohol consumptions and stuff like that, you know, when minors getting a hold of alcohol and stuff and they drink too much. Like, there's none of that stuff going on, you know. Like, we're all, us convention goers, we can't be the mother and father of these kids who are 16 and up going to conventions and not having home training or not having understanding or taking the precautions they need to take. You know, we shouldn't have to baby them. You know, this is just should be, you know, second nature in their mind, you know, to take these precautions. But if you can't do it, I feel like the conventions need to go ahead and really amp up the regulations and stuff like that, you know, to have signs up and always have to remind people, wash your hands, please respect personal space, and practice hygiene, you know. And on top of that, like I said, you could have your sanitary stations and stuff like that, you know, and have people and remind people to take to take sanitary precautions and stuff. For the dealer's room and stuff like that, it's going to be very hard to manage stuff like that. But for the dealer's room, they can easily respectfully decline everybody else to touch their inventory, you know. You know, same thing with the artist alley, respectfully decline. You know, please do not touch the inventory unless you're interested. And if you are interested, I will bring it to you. You know, I'll bag it up and bring it to you. Don't touch anything else, because they have to sanitize their own stuff alone, you know. You know, when it comes to the gamers room and stuff like that, it's going to be hard to have staff to, like, anybody that gets off of a cabinet or a dance machine and stuff like that. You got to come in there like somebody from the NBA who's going to do cleanup, you know, clean up the floor, clean up the bar rails, clean up the the push buttons and the Joy-Cons and the seats and stuff like that. It's just going to be hard to do that. That's just high maintenance, but it's going to cost. It's going to cost conventions to try to maintain those a safe environment. Floor space, stuff like that. It's not like conventions are going to invest in a whole lot of plexiglass, but it's a benefit. It'd be nice to have like artist alleys and dealers room to have plexiglass everywhere there is, and make that a regulation. If the convention's not going to provide it, the dealers room need to be bringing that as part of the rule in the contract. Like plexiglass your whole entire place, your entire stall. Booths, help assistant areas, stuff like that, all plexiglass. It might be just the whole entire convention could look like one hockey arena with plexiglass everywhere, But we got to take these precautions. It's going to cost conventions money and stuff, But I got to ask you, man, what other precautions should conventions take when it comes to protecting its attendees and its guests?
I think you pretty much nailed it, everything, man. I don't think there's nothing much more to be had. And also, I mean, you run the risk if you're not adhering to these guidelines and regulations. There are people out there who want to shut you down. There are people who are there's already videos of people going to these conventions or going to these locations and say, look at this shit. Look at this. No social distancing. Guilting or exposing. Like, look at this. They're not even adhering to guidelines. How many videos have you seen this being done at Walmart or another convention that happened? I think even in Richmond, and people were like, this is outrageous that they're having this convention. And a whole bunch of bad press can be had if you're not strict on enforcing these things. And that's bad press you don't want, especially if someone does get sick and you find out like, oh, everyone who attended is at risk and you need to definitely get checked. And you might have to go quarantine yourself for 2 weeks. Or they might make it mandatory, like, hey, anyone who's attended this convention needs to quarantine for 2 weeks. There was a high outbreak over there, and yeah, you need to get tested and quarantine yourself immediately. Like, it's just not worth it. I don't know how this transition is going to happen when things do come to some sense of normality. Are we going to just jump right back to where things were used to be, or is it going to be a slow progression of taking precautions until eventually it's like, you know what, I feel safe, there's a vaccine, I trust that you were vaccinated, or at the worst case scenario, I have a high chance of living because I can just go get the vaccine and I'm good to go. So that transition period is going to be a little bit weird. It's going to be a little bit off, but it's going to have to happen eventually for things to get back to normal in the con scene. I
mean, shoot, get yourself a badge and get tested before you purchase a badge or so place. But even then, that's not going to even work, But other than that, man, like, hopefully when conventions do open, like, I would hope that everybody does attend conventions when they are able to get things back to normal and set place regulations. Because once your local convention does open, you kind of like want to support them because they're going to have a rough 2 years. 2020 has been a rough year with all these cancellations and reschedulings. Now 2021 is running the risk and stuff like that. But when these conventions open, if you don't attend and you live in fear of not going and stuff like that, your favorite convention that you used to go to in 2019, 2018, 2017, and so on, could be gone because it's not enough profits keeping that convention alive, So that's the scary thing about reopening conventions and appealing to the masses, because there's some conventions out there that's already struggling on its own, they scale back on certain things they used to have, such as sponsorships and programs they used to run. A lot of that stuff is gone. So now, like, you got some conventions that can't afford renting out arcade cabinets, with that company they used to do, or you got some conventions that can't rent out or purchase that guest for the weekend, I was like, oh yeah, you want to have so on, that voice actor to be a part of it. Sorry, we can't afford it, because not enough conventions have supported us, on trying to get this done. But other than that, man, like, shoot, what do you feel about, supporting conventions? Like, do you think that this is our duty to keep that legacy alive, the things that we've enjoyed? Do you think we need to be supporting our local conventions?
I think it's pretty similar to the movie theater, the current situation that's going on with Hollywood, is that movie theater chains, when they reopen, are they going to get flooded? I doubt it. I doubt people are going to still feel safe enough to go back in the movie theaters. And it's not like everything goes back to normal and then we're breaking box office numbers like Avengers did. It's going to take a while to get to that point. Some of these companies, they're not going to make it. Restaurants, a lot of these companies have already folded. And don't be surprised if the convention scene really shrinks down a bit and then rebuilds up over time. Do not be surprised, because it's going to take either it's going to take some time, or everyone's just going to be like, I don't even care, I'm going. And then they're going to flood the gates to get to these conventions to get that feeling again. But I'm just judging from the movie theater experience, because hey, more people go to the movies than go to to conventions. And so when you have the movie theater scene abysmal, I'm going to assume the convention scene is going to be abysmal as well. And your favorite convention is in danger. It is in danger of coming back shortly and then never coming back after that. So it's up to you as an individual if you want to try to support your con as long as possible safely, or you just don't feel like, hey, my health is not worth it. I guess this will have to go. They'll have to hold out until I feel comfortable to coming back. So it's up to you as an individual to decide, and your factors. You got family, your friends, are you at high risk? Have you been exposed to it before? You're like, fuck that, I survived, I'm not going back out there. Like, you guys weren't there when my chest was fucking pumping out crazy and shit like that. So it's up to the individual. It's all up to us to make our own choice, informed choice on whether we want to attend these things or not. I've done some risky shit. I mean, I've been to movie theaters, but knowing that no one's in there. So for me to go to a convention, it'd be an empty, hollow experience. And I would just be like, why am I here? Wasting my time. I wish it's not close to the convention scene that I know. And I would just rather do a private function to see family and friends who I know who are COVID-free, who are bug-free, and rather do something private than to go to a big convention and get a big, hollow experience of nothing.
Shoot. And I gotta say, if the cosplay conventions, or I mean, not just cosplay conventions, but anime and comic cons were to reach their downfall, I understand that there's cosplayers out there in their mindset, they want to reach cos famous and stuff like that, and usually they go to that premiere convention, to bring their A game and get the best photo shoot in photo scenery and all that stuff, But there's this thing that's being thrown out there, where they want to reach cos fame and stuff like that, and they want to premiere it at the best con. But we don't have these cons. What do you think? What do you think would be the future of cosplayers if these conventions are gone? There's no place to debut something like that. So how would you achieve cos fame without a convention? Or is this something that is cosplay going to end up becoming subculture after if we can't recover from this? What do you think?
For it to go subculture like again, I don't believe so, but for anyone who's trying to make a career out of it, this definitely was a big hiccup and a speed bump to your path. And I've seen others adjust. To where you're fitness models now, or you're inspirational speaker, or you're going to have to find some other talent or some other skill set to do, whether it be Twitch gaming, Twitch streaming, podcasting, whatever. You're going to have to find something else to basically latch onto until the cosplay scene comes back. So I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's highly unlikely if you're some newcomer and you want to become cos famous during this pandemic. Probably is not going to happen. You're going to have a very difficult time unless you do some very great phenomenal work on videos and photography and making something come to life that has never happened before. Like, I guess if you have a bomb-ass Elsa and you do almost like a Disney Plus Netflix kind of fan service shorts, and you bring all the princesses together, and you actually, like Once Upon a Time on ABC, but you do a little bit more Disney accurate, and people really resonate with that, and then you have your channel grow because they come to you for that Disney content. Like, oh, they're making a Disney drama. This is more accurate than Once Upon a Time did. Or you're a Dragon Ball Z person and you're doing some live action work and you do some reimagining of the suits and things like that. And you're doing some good special effects, stuff like that. But to the days of going to a convention and just be like, blah, I got this ballin' ass suit and I'm cause famous and I'm elite, and bow down to my glory, and that's just not gonna happen from 2020 to probably 2023, to be honest with you. So y'all gonna have to adjust and find some new ways. OnlyFans, Twitch, Instagram, Patreon, whatever. You're gonna have to make it work that way.
I perfectly agree with you, man. Like, because there's no the future is vague, and for people that's got their their vision set, their ambitions set to become cost famous and want to be the top hit in Instagram and all that stuff, I highly doubt that there's going to be a market for that if anime and Comic-Con conventions are going to become very, very regulated, where it's going to be hard to be a part of the crowd and be a part of the festivities, But the one last topic I want to hit, and the talking point, it could be very, very controversial and stuff like that. But other than that, man, like, there's just been this outbreak of the convention scene of not just the coronavirus, but we've got a whole plethora of allegations of, minors, being in sexual allegations and stuff like that. And it's something that conventions have not even, for the past I've seen, have not even taken seriously and stuff like that. The fact of the matter is that I can go to a convention and see somebody who's actually hasn't done a sexual allegation to a minor, but just straight allegations in general, sexual conduct and all that stuff like that, Yet, even though they're actually, I understand conventions don't have the time to do background checks and all that stuff like that, but however, like, with these allegations going on and stuff like that, and if they have a record, there's got to be consequences involved. You can't join a convention, especially if you're a sex offender, Sexually, if you have sexual assaulted, if you have been if you've been charged of rape or anything else, all that stuff, I feel like conventions should take more precautions on, Never mind keep in mind there's other things that goes on in these conventions where you can have people whose ambition is to want to go ahead and try to kill a guest, coming with actual heavy armory and stuff like that, I get that that's going on, but you also still have stuff that's going on that's actually now has been red flagged and highlighted as sexual allegations has been a big thing. With that going on, or with that being said, hearing stuff from the gaming community, it won't be too long until it reaches the convention community, where now your favorite cosplayer could be in some sort of sexual allegation, nonsense, and we're a part of 2020 has been part of cancel culture strongly, so it'd be crazy for your favorite cosplayer, to be caught up in sexual allegations and stuff like that. But I feel like there should be more things put in place for anything like that. Like, if you're a well-known cosplayer with a good following and stuff like that, and you're caught up with anything else, or even if you're not even a cosplayer at all, you're just a convention goer, but you've been known to be caught up with sexual allegations and minor like dealing with minors and sexual activity, stuff like that. I feel like that you should not be allowed to come to conventions with that, because you don't want to be a convention that houses a reputation of we welcome these kind of people in our convention to walk the halls, for them to sit there and try to prey on minors, or try to do as they do, as I've heard in the cosplay scene as well, that rape has happened, at a convention. I feel like that these people should not be able to roam free or have any other voluntary opportunities at these conventions, but yet some of these people still go and they roam free. I feel like I gotta ask, man, what are your thoughts? What do conventions need to do to actually, to prevent and keep safe of minors, and especially the ones who are not capable of protecting themselves, and if they get into a situation of rape or any sexual misconduct that took place and stuff like that, what do conventions need to do to prevent, try to prevent, or if it does happen, what do they got to do to not have any open doors of opportunity in a cosplay scene at all? Like, what is the bigger things? Because we know that esports has been caught up with it. It won't be too long to this pandemic, of course, that can shut conventions down. Like, what do you think that needs to be done, and what do you think precautions should be set in place?
I think it's tricky and a very slippery slope here, because when you have allegations, they're technically just allegations. They're not truth set in stone. I definitely believe if you have a record and we can Google search you and we can look you up and saying, oh, he's definitely got a record, guess what? You get your ticket refunded and you're not allowed in the convention. There could definitely be a reporting feature where I get staff doesn't have the time to do a thorough search background check on every single attendee. But if an attendee recognizes an individual who has a known record, then that person can report that individual, get a staff member, they can look up that person, be like, okay, yeah, he or she is not allowed to be in this vicinity because of their record and their history. So they need to have an actual record, and I think then justice can be observed and they can be removed from the area. Allegations is tricky because they are just allegations, and until you take it to court, until you can really press it, until you're found, guilty in the law and by a judge, you can't really fault that. You can't really take action with that. And those who have tried have been countersued. And kind of rightfully so, because they're just allegations. You don't have the proof. So you can't do a witch hunt for everybody and expect it just to like, okay, we'll do a witch hunt and everyone who's ever heard of anything negative of anybody, they're out of here. Now, I think the most boring, I know the most safest route to take is just to have a reporting feature. If someone has a known record and you can easily find it on the internet, then they get the boot and they can't be in the vicinity. When it comes to other situations, honestly, the staff can only do so much. The con can only do so much. It's up to the parents. It's up to proper parenting. It's up to being a proper adult. It's up to being a good friend. It's out for looking out for each other. All this training we did in the military of, green dot, red dot, identifying a bad situation and protecting one another. I mean, honestly, those are things that con attendees have to do. You have to look out. Look out for your fellow person, your fellow friend, and knowing that, hey, if something seriously went down, call 911. Don't wait till the next week. Don't, put something on social media and expect justice to be had. You're going to have to go through with it. I know there's a lot of trauma and you're going to have to talk to somebody about it, but, I think that's the proper step, is giving information, not the con staff. I mean, they could do a little bit of that, but it's really up to the individual, up to parenting, up to your friends and your peers to help guide you in the right direction, to take proper action and precaution so these things don't continue to happen. For the big convention guys behind the scenes doing these things, best believe with the track record that's been happening, you probably will be caught and something will probably come out of it. Now, whether their charges will be pressed, or whatever. You're gonna have to go through that, but nothing is, I think everything's coming to light, and things will continue to come to light. And the best thing you can do is inform yourself for information and kind of know what to do beforehand, so that you are prepared for whatever happens in the foreseeable future.
Perfectly agree with you, man. And I feel like that with conventions trying to reopen, stuff like that, if they can take all these precautions and take the heart of, what these cosplayers and these attendees are trying to say and stuff like that, I could see conventions lasting longer than it was now, before, but hopefully whenever the pandemic is solved and we can get back to normalcy and stuff like that, like with all this highlighting issues that's been going on, the underlining issues, we can get it all solved and create a safe environment for you and I and everybody else, the attendees and the people who's willing to actually go to conventions and support the local conventions, even out of state conventions, just to keep that legacy alive, so we can have something to go to and enjoy for years on end. But other than that, man, that's my ending topic of should we reopen conventions and what are the things that we need to do to keep conventions safe. Do you have anything else to add to that?
Nothing much, man. For the listeners out there, let us know what you think. Do you think cons can open up? Let me know if you have any other input on guidelines and proper safety precautions that these conventions can make. Have you been to a convention since the pandemic started? And you can tell us what you thought about your experience and how maybe things can be turned around in the future.
And as a reminder to everybody else that do attend conventions, stuff like that, we ask you to do the simplest things. The simplest things is practice good hygiene, eat healthy, make sure that you're hydrated, take your vitamins, stay in shape, and on top of that, practice social distancing even after the pandemic is over, stuff like that, because respecting personal space is important in these conventions. But yeah, that wraps up our topic with conventions.
Wear your damn mask.
And wash your ass. All right. That's it for us. Like and comment. Dislike if you ain't feeling the content. Download the discussion from SoundCloud. Big shout out to you for being a part of the crowd. Follow us on every popular social media platform in the description below.
And thanks, guys, for lending your ears for another episode. We hope you enjoyed it, and we're out. Peace.
Deuce. Right online, offline.